Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of February 2nd, 2014. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This week, all the celestial activity or the major celestial activity seems to be happening in the middle of the week. And there are two very important celestial events taking place. One is the very harmonious conversation taking place between Jupiter and Chiron. Now, both of these celestial bodies have been working in harmony since the summer of last year. And this is one of their perfection moments in their conversation. And the type of conversation is what astrologers call a trine, which is known as a conversation of supreme harmony. It's an easy exchange of energy, but also an easy understanding as well that is infused with faith, belief that things are going to work out well. Now, both of these celestial bodies are associated with healing. They're associated with seeing the wisdom in something that maybe you were disappointed by or maybe that hurt you before. Seeing how you are now better, wiser, stronger, more able to love in a more grander way than you had before, had it not been for the thing that disappointed you. And so with this celestial conversation taking place, it is certainly a time of letting emotions flow, of letting emotions rise as part of that, acknowledging what you feel, and at the same time welcoming a new perspective into what you feel, maybe in some cases what you've been feeling for a really long time, maybe an emotional state that you've been holding on to for much too long. Acknowledging it and seeing the wisdom of it and releasing it. And that's really part of the major thrust happening now in the sky and for the period ahead. Because what we also have happening is Mercury really slowing down to a standstill and standing in the middle of the sky in the middle of the week, standing still, and then beginning to go backwards, beginning retrograde motion at the very beginning of the sign of Pisces. And next week we'll move into the sign of Aquarius, or move back into the sign of Aquarius. Now, this suggests a few things. One is Pisces is strongly associated with Jupiter. In fact, Jupiter is the ancient ruler of the sign of Pisces. And so it's also a water sign as well. And so there is this element of seeing wisdom, of allowing change, of allowing flow, of allowing karmic resolutions to take place. And also with Piscean energy and with this energy that we have going on at the same time with this trine, it is very much about understanding what has served its karmic purpose in your life and allowing those closures to happen. And so we've got this Mercury retrograde taking place at the very beginning of the sign of Pisces, which suggests that we are in our own way understanding what needs to close, what we need to allow to flow, whether it's in or out of our lives, so that we can move forward on a path of greater wisdom. But just as we start embracing this understanding, we have to go back. And we got to go back and make sure that we've got all the information right and that the work that we are doing is one that is really based in self-honesty, that is based in clarity. And so right now with Mercury standing still in the sky, this is the moment you want to watch, because towards the end of the month, once Mercury is stationary, as we call it, is also going to be one of those peak moments. But going even further, once we get to the middle of March, Mercury will return to this exact spot where Mercury is going to stand still. And that's when we're going to have total resolution to all the themes that come up now. So it is an emotional week. It is a week when a lot of things are coming to the surface and a lot of release is happening as well. It is a week that is characterized by transformation. In some cases, remarkable transformations are possible, and there is an almost miraculous quality to them. Whereas next week, the transformative energy is still there, but it takes on a much more cerebral feel. It takes on a much more intellectual feel. This week, it's all about what's happening with you on a level of energy and what's happening with you on a level of emotion. So allow those awarenesses to come up, because this is a week that can really grant you some emotional experiences that you will be referring to again and again in the weeks to come before you truly can integrate their wisdom and truly feel like you are better for the things arising now. How all this speaks to you in your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. This week does promise sort of a turn within, And what it looks like is happening for you is you're going to be asked to be really honest with yourself about a source of whether it's frustration, whether it's anger, whether it's self-sabotage. But there is an element here of you maybe demonstrating something where on the level of consciousness you thought you were going for one thing, but it was interpreted as another way. And that in turn is going to allow you to really look at, okay, wait a minute, why did I do that? Why did I say that? What was really going on in that interaction? You're going to be asked to turn the lens on yourself, and that takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of bravery. If you can do that work, you're going to find yourself set on a pathway of personal honesty, and that really in the weeks to come can free you of a lot of baggage that you may have been carrying for a long time. It can really free you of a lot of frustrations or anger that might have been there and allow you to step into a more loving adult version of yourself in a more loving present and future. Hello, fabulous Taurus. This week does start off with a focus on friendships, but then the energy will quickly return to matters of career. And so it does look like you're meeting new people, and there is this element of you trying to figure out how these people are actually going to fit into some of the goals that you may have for your life. And some of you are going to experience this in the context of career, where there's an element of networking here, while others of you are going to experience this more on a personal level of goals and legacy and the things that you're hoping to achieve still as you go forward in your life. The people who you are introduced to, there is going to be an element of not really knowing how they fit in just yet, but give that some time. I do see a feeling coming up within you that maybe you need to achieve more, you need to accomplish more in order to be worthy of the connections. And I would say to you, if that's the message that's showing up, just be mindful that it's not coming from a place of insecurity. All information that comes in is ultimately just information. You can decide what it is going to mean for you. But one thing is for sure, though, you are going to get a chance to work on career and really think about how to best move forward. And then a little bit further down the road, you're going to be really glad that you had these moments in the month of February to really refine your goals and understanding what it is that you're hoping to achieve. Because once we get you a little bit further down the road, it looks like you are going to meet the right people at that time, where there's no doubt that these people definitely are going to help you progress in your road ahead towards greater achievement. Hello, fabulous Gemini. This week does promise a sense of, really, there is this one brief glimpse of what it is that you really want to achieve. And I'm seeing it really as a glimpse. It's almost as if you are getting some clarity into the changes that you want to make to experience a more rewarding career path. And just as you think that you've got it, you're being asked to go back and understand your vision, really connect to what it is that ultimately you're going for, not just in a big sort of achievement, goal-oriented sense, but in a sense that what is it that you are going for that is going to actually help you feel that you are living on a path of meaning and on purpose. Now, a lot of you out there are going to experience this in all honesty. A lot of you out there may experience this in the context of being asked to take on a greater role that makes you question some of your own ethics, or in some way thinking about how achievement and your ethics and your guiding values connect. So if there's any question in your mind, if you're compromising any ethics, then that question needs to be dealt with, and really treat them right, treat them fairly. If you feel an energy coming up that's telling you, oh, I don't know how I feel about this, take your time and sit with this. It's really not a time for you to be signing any kind of contracts or agreements, because things are going to change. If you have to, then you have to, but things are going to change. But really, it's that twinge that you want to pay attention to, so that you know that your compass and your ethics are in alignment with the things that you're hoping to achieve in this life. Hello, fabulous Cancer. This week there is a very transformative energy with you, and it does look like you get a chance to really understand how your personal change, your personal bravery, your personal transformation can actually help bring you into alignment with a higher vision of your life. In particular, this looks like a vision that has to do with your values, that has to do with you understanding what your life is really about in the loftiest sense of the word. Now, this idea of personal transformation, really digging in deep, is really going to be the dominant energy going forward. So utilize this week very well to really connect to what it is that you really aspire to, what it is ultimately that your vision is, and what it is that your values are. Because you need to have that clarity now, because in the weeks ahead, you are going to be tested on them a little bit, if you will. You are going to be asked to consider deeper layers of meaning, not just have it be about the ethics that are on the surface, but also to understand the complexities of a situation, whether it's personal or otherwise. And so this is the time to really understand the vision in the biggest possible sense of the word, because once we go forward, you're going to be really digging in very deep. And when I look at where you are a few weeks down the road, you are really emerging a very changed person with another understanding of who you are and what is no longer a part of your life. This week starts the process. This week allows you the hope that you need to undertake that very important work. Hello, Fabulous Leo. This week there is the promise of moving towards a deeper connection and moving towards a deeper sense of understanding what intimacy is going to mean for you. Now, for some of you, this process is going to feel really inspired and really hopeful, but I do think that for a lot of you out there, it isn't going to be that clear cut. It does look like you are being asked to move closer to another person, to open yourself up to greater love, as I spoke about in the love forecast for this month. So the love video for this month goes into depth about this whole energy of love and partnership that's with you as you enter this month. However, it does look like this week in particular is much more about intimacy, about fears, about looking at where it is maybe you get in your own way, where maybe you've been sort of these stumbling blocks, or what have been the stumbling blocks towards deeper intimacy. Now, you are going to get a lot more chances. In fact, I do see this as a very important month in terms of romance for you. You are going to get more chances to look at relationships and relating, but this is the time really for some reflection. This is the time for some honesty, and I do see at least one key experience is going to help you facilitate that, where you're looking at where maybe some of your own motivations have been coming from a place of wanting to control instead of acknowledging that to love means that ultimately you have little, if any, control. So be open to that whole process. It does look like love offers the greatest chances of healing for you now and in the weeks ahead. Hello, Fabulous Virgo. This week, there is a strong focus on the day. There's a strong focus on the health. There's a strong focus on your body as well. And it looks like another person, a partner, or perhaps someone where there's a romantic connection, is playing a key role in helping you to understand what you need to do to take better care of yourself, to feel like you are living in the best possible sense with the greatest possible health as well. It does look also like this week does promise you that key understanding that you need really coming about through conversation, so that you can in turn have the information you need to make at least one significant change that ends up having an overall positive effect on just about every area of your life. This is a time to communicate, especially where it comes to your partner. If you don't have an established partnership, be willing to sit down with people one-on-one, where you're actually like looking at them in person, in the face, you're talking to them, because it's going to be those types of exchanges that really open the door to a lot of healing and a lot of understanding for you. Hello, Fabulous Libra. This week, there is, first of all, a very strong focus on matters of career and on matters of work as well. Now, there is a more personal element that is going to kick in a little bit later on, but when I look at how, if there's been anything that you have felt that maybe you're not sure if you should do and really is rooted in any sort of feelings of fear or any sort of feelings of not being good enough, which is a sneaky thing and does tend to come up from time to time for all of us. If there's been any of that there, that is going to come to light to be healed. And especially this week seems to be a really important part of that process, where you're able to look at yourself, examine yourself more deeply, and understand what it is that you're going for. Now, if you are approaching your goals, whether they're career or otherwise, with a sense of looking at how this whole process and how all of this is meant to help you to grow personally, spiritually, on every level, and have the work be a manifestation of that, then you're going to find things click into place just very nicely. And this could be a time of a really nice advancement for you in terms of greater responsibility, in terms of accomplishment as well, in terms of understanding what needs to be done in the day so that you can achieve those bigger dreams that you may have for your life. But if there is in any way, if you haven't been integrating that whole approach, if you haven't been understanding the career stuff as an expression of spirit, then you are going to find some insecurities come up, a much more likely scenario. Some of your own fears come up, some of your own doubts, and really they're just coming up so that you can release them. One thing is for sure though, there does seem to be progress on the career and on the work front. There seems to be progress in the direction of your dreams and of the goals that you have for your life. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. This week does bring with it the possibility of greater fun, greater frivolity, and greater friendships as well. But what I'm seeing more as the dominant energy that's taking place for you now is really, there's this question there of fulfillment. There's this question there of, okay, what is it that I need to do to feel happier in general? And at the same time, a part of you knows that ultimately that question of happiness has to integrate into your practical life for it to mean anything. That happiness felt is one thing, but happiness lived is another. And I think that's where the magic is really going to start to happen. So it seems that there's a lot of personal understandings. If you are a person who has children or is around children, you're going to find that they are a big part in facilitating a lot of this awareness for you. If not, I think that a lot of Scorpios out there are going to be invited to be a kid, to be a big kid. And this process actually could end up being a lot of fun and help you to really become aware of how you can take what is right now largely a conception, right now largely feeling and belief and emotion, and actually integrate it into practical progress forward. There is certainly a merger that can happen there, but it is going to involve you doing a little bit of experimentation and being open to new information, likely to come to you through children. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. This week does bring with it a lot of focus on home. And I do think that when I look at the energy that has been taking place for you, the energy that's going to kick up again once we get you to next week, it's very much about communications, about connecting, reaching out to people, which is why this week should feel a little unusual in that all of a sudden it looks like you want to go into some sort of a fortress of solitude. All of a sudden it seems like you want to do some reflection, look at what's happening with you on a level of heart and of mind and of spirit. And it looks also like you are asking for some time on your own, just in your own company. Now, I actually think that this is a really good sign because it means you are more comfortable with yourself and comfortable in your own skin. And this is a very necessary part of the process to do anything that it is that you want to do in the world. But there is a very strong focus on home. If any changes are indicated or any changes seem to need to come up, it is a good time for you to look into repairs. But I do think that whatever themes or issues come up now around the home sphere actually are not going to find any resolution until we get you into March. So just take it all with a grain of salt and understand that just because the energy at this point seems to be going inward, there's almost as if this energy that's flowing in and out all month actually, where on the one hand, a part of you is going inward, and then another hand, a part of you is having to interact with a lot of people, in some cases new people, and also having to exchange a lot of information. And so understand this moment as a quieter moment in what will otherwise be a truly eventful month. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. This week brings with it the promise of the right connection that could lead to financial progress. Now, that financial progress is still a little bit further down the road. I do think that there are a few details that need to be ironed out. And so this week is a good time for you to be connecting with others, exchanging messages, sending out emails, and really using words and expression to demonstrate that you do deserve to experience greater wealth in your own life. Now, in another perspective, I do want to say, because love has been such an important theme for you these past few weeks, these past couple of months, I do think that this week is going to provide really a boost, a very healing boost where it comes to love, where you're really able to understand what has been. And there's this strong energy of forgiveness to what has been in the area of love before. So stay open to that. It looks like all around it is a very positive week for you, a week when you're exchanging a lot of messages and welcoming information on a level of heart, and knowing that eventually this will lead to greater prosperity. But what's also happening on a level of relationships is there's a lot of healing energy coming in, a lot of forgiveness coming in as well. Whether it's you that needs to forgive another or you that's hoping for forgiveness, you should get the omen that you need that allows you to put the past behind you in the most positive sense of the word. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. This week, Mercury, as it leaves your sign and enters Pisces, it's only going to do so for this week. So next week, you're going to have Mercury moving back into your sign, and I'll talk about it then. But this is going to be a time when all the information and understandings and contacts and connections and interactions you've been having over the last few weeks, this is when you start to look at, okay, how can you take all of that and implement it to create greater wealth for yourself? Now, whatever happens now is really just a glimpse into what's coming up a little bit further down the road, because it does look like you're going to have to iron out some details and get clear on what it is you really want to do in order to experience that greater prosperity. Because if there's any sign that won't do just anything to make money, it's yours. And so there is going to be a need for you to, on the one hand, think about what has been these last few weeks as you start to implement some new ideas, which should be really nice for you. And at the same time, know that there's a more personal process that's taking place as well. And you're going to return to that next week. And it's that personal process that matters most. Whatever glimpses or possibilities and greater prosperity show up for you now, understand that their ideas and the details are going to need to be more fully flourished out a little bit further down the road once we get you into next month. But for now, there is a lot of positive energy around you, and there's a lot of energy for experiencing greater wealth. And you are going to experience that more and more as this month progresses, and especially once we get you towards the end of the month and into the next. See this week as a precursor to some of the advancements that are coming up for you. Hello, fabulous Pisces. This week promises a time when you are asked to think about who you are much more deeply and what really matters to you much more deeply. Now, when I look at what I spoke about in the monthly horoscopes for your sign, there is a new moon taking place in your sign later this month. And that is your own personal new year. And that's going to mark a really important time for you. And this week is the beginning of the process, really. It's going to help you to understand what it is that you really want to start again. What kind of seeds are you planting? What is it that is going to be really important to you a little bit further down the road? And the experiences you have now are really meant to inform you on who you are and what matters to you most. And if you can pay attention, then you're going to find yourself referring to the events of this week again and again. And what's also really positive about what's happening now is that you, of all signs, you are going to be the one to really leave some baggage behind you in the best possible sense of the word. And I'm seeing you really sort of, whether it's reconcile or forgive, whatever the case may be, however you want to phrase it, it does look like literally I'm seeing you, this visual in my mind of you really putting down a very heavy bag that you've been carrying for much too long that you no longer need to. And that's going to really open up the pathways that you need to understand yourself differently and your possibilities differently. You are going to spend a lot of the month going forward, especially next week and the week after, really sorting out a lot of the details and a lot of your feelings. But having said that, as I said, what you gain now in clarity is information that you are going to refer to again and again, especially once we get you towards the end of the month and into the next. So use this time very well. Well, thank you so much for watching. All signs out there, thank you for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy. Thank you for watching. It'll be a great month. Be fabulous and enjoy.